Hello everyone, my name is Jose Abalos. I'm an associate level designer community at Avalanche Software, and welcome to the first part out of 3 of how I built my level Remote Bowling HD. I'm gonna show you everything that I did in the level, like how to move the ball, how to control the camera angle, how the checkpoints work, everything step by step. So if you want to do a similar level to what I did with Remote Bowling, you are not lost at all. So in this first video, we're gonna see how we are going to have the camera focus on the ball and how we are going to move it using weather vanes and a remote controller. So you can also see this first video as a tutorial on how to use a remote controller and weather vanes. So let's get started. The first thing that we need to solve is, have the camera, in this case a target camera, fix on the ball itself. So now we're going to place a target camera around here, and also we're going to need a falling object generator so that it drops the ball. We're going to place it somewhere maybe around here. Yeah, this is good enough. Okay, so the first thing that we need to solve is, how do I get this camera to focus and follow the ball that is going to drop from here? First of all, let's check some of the properties of the target camera. If we see the properties, we will go to camera target. In this case, it's going to be not all, because that's all players, not connected locator, we don't need that, not any player. In this case, it's going to be a triggering actor. So whatever actor or player triggers this camera, that camera is gonna fix on it. So if we have, now we need to make the ball activate the trigger camera, because then the target camera is gonna ask, okay, who activated me? The ball. Okay, focus on it. So for that, we're gonna be creating a trigger area around the same place where around where the falling object generator is. And now we'll say that make a new logic connection. Now when you enter, in this case a physics ball, which is what the balls that we're going to be using are, and we're going to activate the target camera. So let's try it over. For that, let's put a trigger or a button around here, so when you step on it, let's say new logic connection, stepped on player any, we will use the falling object generator and we will decide what kind of ball we want it to drop. So in this case, let's go with a bowling ball. Let's check it out. So if I step on this, I'm gonna generate a bowling ball which will enter this trigger area, and by that we're gonna activate the camera, which is gonna focus on the ball, because the ball is what triggered and what activated the camera itself. So let's check it out. You see, now the camera is fixated on the bowling ball, and for that, so you can see it in effect, now we actually have to move the ball. Alright, now we have that the camera is focused on the ball, but we can't get the ball to move. For that, we're gonna need a new kind of creativity toy called a weather vane. A weather vane is just basically one toy that applies a force into the direction that it is pointing. So for example, if this one is turned on, you can see that it's pointing towards that direction. So once it's on, it's gonna apply strength straightly forward. Well, relative to the direction that I'm looking at. So we're gonna place 4 of these weather vanes, one for each direction that I'm gonna be moving. So one for here, well, let's say one for the other direction. No, let's say one for this direction and one for this other direction. So we need 4 weather vanes, one for each possible direction that we're going to be moving the ball in. And now we need to change its properties. So we select it and we can see properties, and we have 2 things. One, it's force, which is how much strength the weather vane is going to have, in whatever objects it's pushing, and also the affected objects. By default, it affects everything, every object that can move in a stage. So it can mean the player, physics balls, enemies, friendlies, everyone. So we only want it to affect just the ball. So for that, we go to affected objects and we select physics balls and force 20, just for fun. Now we need to do the same thing for the other 3 weather vanes. So properties, let's select 20 and physics balls. Again, properties 20 and let's select physics balls, and finally this last weather vane, which is going to be 20, and affected objects we're going to call physics balls. And that's it. That's all the configuration we're going to need for moving the ball around the level. So if we try it out, we can see that we're still generating the ball, but we are still not doing moving the ball at all, because we haven't turned on or off any weather vanes. For that, we're gonna need a remote controller. The remote controller, all it does is assign any actions in the world to button presses. So for example, in this case I'm using the 360 controller. If I press the A button, I want the ball to move down. If I press B, I want it to move to the right, and so on and so forth. So we're gonna place a remote controller right here. Alright, so we have a remote controller placed here on the floor. I also raised the weather vanes because these objects do have collisions, so if they were still on the floor when I started moving the ball, it wouldn't have been so good because the ball would have been colliding with the weather vanes all the time, so we're gonna skip those. Now, I want to drop the ball whenever I engage with this remote controller mode. So first let's erase this trigger, and now let's make a connection. So new logic connection, and for now, since we're only one player, we're gonna say player 1, and we can see that we have control mode activated and control mode deactivated. Control mode deactivated happens when, let's first make it falling object generator, and let's create a bowling ball. So control mode activated, it's when I approach this, and you can see that there is a prompt to use the remote controller. If I press this button, that's what it means with control mode activated. So if I press, in this case, X, the ball is gonna fall and the camera is gonna focus on it, which is exactly what happened. Now let's get into the interesting stuff. Let's make it so when we press A, in this case the Xbox controller, which would be the direction down, I only turn on the weather vane that will make the ball go down according to the camera, or in this case going towards the camera. So this would be the one, since it is pointing to the camera, while turning off the other 3 weather vanes at the same time, and so on and so forth. So let's try it out. New logic connection when player 1 presses A, which in this case would be the direction down. This is the one that goes down. So let's turn it on. So one message received, on. And now at the same time we're gonna make a logic connection, so whenever I press A, these other 3 weather vanes are gonna turn off. So that's one. Now let's make it for the second one. A pressed, weather vane, it goes off, and finally the third one. So it's this one right here. Let's turn it off. Now let's see what happens. So we engage with it, and now I'm gonna press A. It's gonna move towards the camera or to the screen, and now we can see how the camera is also gonna focus on the ball. So let's press A. Ooh, the ball is moving towards... Okay. you can see that it worked, and it works just fine. And you can see that the weather vane now it's on. Well, we'll see how to fix that in a little bit, because I want it, every time that I get off of this, all the weather vanes turn off. But not right now. Now let's try to make the ball move to the right, which in this case would be the B controller, the B button on the 360 controller. So, new logic connection, player 1, B pressed. Which one should turn on? It should be this one, because it should be this one. Yeah, because it's pointing to the right. So we need to turn that one on. And the other 3 weather vanes have to be turned off. So be pressed, and this one, the one that it's on, it's turning off. Now let's make it as well. So player 1, be pressed. This one turns off. And be pressed. Let's. Alright. Let's try it out. So, use. Yeah, you can see that the ball is moving to the right. And, well, it also went down, but that's because, well, the weather vane, this one right here, was still on when the ball fell. So it got a lot of force from this weather vane in particular. So now the ball is moving to the right. Now we need to move it up, which in this case would be the Y button or the triangle button on the PS3. So the logic connection, whenever player 1 it presses, oh, let's press X. So right now it moves to the left. So X press, so it needs to go to the left. It should be this weather vane. This one is going to turn on, and the other 3 weather vanes have to be turned off. Oh, I got a feed. Well, that's nice. Okay, let's turn this one off. Let's turn this one off as well. And let's turn this one off. Okay, let's try it out. So, I press X, it's moving to the left. I press B, it's going to the right. No! Okay, and the camera angle changed a little bit because it went through the trigger area again, but that's not what's important right now. The important thing is that it's working correctly, and if I press X, the ball is moving to the left. And now finally we need to make the ball go up, which in this case would be the Y button on the 360 controller or triangle on the PlayStation controller. So new logic connection, player 1 and Y press. It needs to go up, so it has to be this weather vane. Because again, the camera is pointing towards the ball, which is from this direction, so this weather vane makes it go down. So in this case, this one goes up, the opposite. Let's make it go on, and let's turn the other ones off. So the one that's turned on, as you can see with that particle effect, off. Turn off, and finally the last one. Okay, now this should be almost it, so let's try it out. So I press X going to the right, A I'm going down, B I'm going right, Y I'm going up. As you can see, the ball is working and it's moving in the directions we have set it up using the weather vanes. So this is awesome. This is exactly the easiest way you can get the ball to work. So if you want to make a bare bones stage, this is all you need to do. But if you want to do a more complicated layout, say where the ball can fall through a cliff or it can be lost or anything, and you need to respawn the ball, or even if you want to do checkpoints, I'd recommend you check the second part of this tutorial, which is going to be all about checkpoints and other fun stuff. So I hope this tutorial has been useful to you, and well, if you have any questions, please let me know, and thanks for watching.